You have to stop thinking that people lie to you because they're evil or because they want to hurt you. That's not what's really going on most of the time. The vast majority of people lie not to attack you, but to protect themselves. They lie to stay safe, to avoid conflict, to maintain control, and if you don't understand that, you will keep personalizing every act of dishonesty, and that will keep you stuck. Let's break this down from a psychological perspective. Human beings are survival-driven. From a young age, we're trained to avoid punishment, avoid pain, and avoid rejection. Lying becomes a defense mechanism. It's a shortcut to protect ego, status, and relationships. Think of a child who breaks something in the house and says, "It wasn't me." That lie isn't malicious, it's instinctive. It's the mind choosing comfort over confrontation. Most people never outgrow that behavior. They just get better at hiding it. Now let's fast forward to adulthood. When someone lies to you, may be about where they were, what they said, how they feel. It's usually not because they want to hurt you. It's because the truth might cost them something. It might cost them your trust, your affection, your approval, or their image in your eyes. So they lie as a way to maintain peace in the short term, but make no mistake, it's a false peace. It's short-lived because every lie eventually erodes trust, and once trust is gone, connection dies. You have to stop expecting people to always do the brave thing. Telling the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable, takes courage. It takes strength, and not everyone has done the work to develop that strength. Some people fear confrontation so deeply, they'd rather lie to your face than tell you something that might upset you. They aren't trying to damage you. They're trying to shield themselves from discomfort, from your reaction, from their own guilt. And here's the hard truth. Sometimes people lie to protect their version of themselves. They want to maintain a certain image. They want you to see them as good, loyal, capable, kind. So they hide the parts of themselves that don't match that image. That's where deception comes in. Not because they don't care about you, but because they care too much about how you see them. It's selfish, yes. But it's also human. Now, that doesn't excuse the lie. It explains it. And there's a big difference between excusing and understanding. Understanding why someone lies doesn't mean you tolerate it. It means you respond from a place of awareness, not reactivity. If you react emotionally, you give the liar more reason to hide the truth next time. But if you can remain steady, grounded, you take back control. Let me take you inside an interrogation room for a moment. When I interrogated suspects or ran polygraph exams, I never assumed someone was a bad person because they weren't honest. I assumed they were protecting something, an identity, a relationship, a secret, a fear. The key wasn't intimidation, it was understanding motive. Once I understood what they were protecting, I could navigate the conversation in a way that uncovered the truth. You can use that same lens in everyday life. When someone lies to you, ask yourself, not them, what are they trying to protect? Their ego, their relationship with you, their reputation. Once you understand the motive, the lie makes more sense, and the path forward becomes clearer. Now here's the part most people miss. If someone feels like they can't be honest with you without being punished, they will lie again. Every time. This is why people say, "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to hurt you," or "I was scared of how you'd react." If your response to truth is rage, judgment, or coldness, people will retreat into deception. That doesn't make the lie right, but it makes it predictable. So if you want to reduce the number of lies you're told, create space for truth. That means managing your own reactions. That means being strong enough to handle discomfort without blowing up or breaking down. It means showing people, consistently, that honesty with you doesn't come at the cost of total destruction. It might come with consequences, sure, but not with cruelty. This is what separates people who are lied to constantly from those who are told the truth, even the hard truth. It's not luck. It's not about being intimidating or commanding. It's about creating an environment where truth is safer than deception. To be clear, none of this means you accept dishonesty. You hold people accountable, but you also take responsibility for the energy you bring to the table. You set a tone that says, "I want the truth. I can handle the truth, but I won't tolerate lies. People lie when truth feels too dangerous. Make it less dangerous, and you'll hear it more often. And if they still lie, that's no longer on you. You gave them a chance. You created the space. And if they still chose to betray it, you walk away with clarity and confidence. No guilt, no doubt, because you know. You didn't just ask for the truth. You earned it. Let's be honest, people treat you exactly how you allow them to. Whether it's lying, disrespect, emotional manipulation, or avoidance, none of it happens in a vacuum. It happens because, at some point, consciously or unconsciously, you trained them that this behavior was okay. Not through words necessarily, but through your reactions, your silences, your willingness to keep peace instead of setting boundaries. And the tough truth: if someone continues to lie to you, it's because lying works. This is not about blame, it's about ownership. If people lie to you and face no consequences, they'll do it again. If someone cheats, and you forgive them without real accountability, expect them to repeat. If someone withholds the truth and you ignore your gut because you want to believe the best in them, then you've just taught them that deception comes with safety, not risk. People are pattern-based. They learn what gets rewarded, they learn what gets tolerated, and they behave accordingly. So if you're in a relationship, a friendship, a workplace, and someone lies to you once, you're not in control of that moment. But if they lie to you twice, without consequence, you've just reinforced the pattern. You've made the lie easier, not harder, to repeat. I've seen this happen not just in personal lives, but in interrogation rooms and high-stakes investigations. People tell the truth when there is friction, when the stakes are real. But when the environment is too forgiving, when the other person is afraid to challenge, when silence replaces confrontation, that's when dishonesty thrives. It's not about being confrontational, it's about showing the other person that your standards are real and they're enforced. Think about someone in your life who has lied to you more than once. Ask yourself honestly, what did you do when they lied the first time? Did you confront it head on, or did you rationalize it, saying things like they didn't mean to? They were probably stressed. Maybe I overreacted. Did you try to keep the relationship intact by minimizing your discomfort? That's how you train someone to ignore your boundaries. You might think you're being understanding, but what you're really doing is removing accountability. You're giving the other person emotional permission to keep deceiving you. There's a phrase I use: kindness without boundaries is self-betrayal. If you keep accepting dishonesty out of fear that standing up for yourself will rock the boat, then you are slowly drowning in your own silence. And guess what? The people around you know it. They sense it. Some will respect your kindness. Others will exploit it. That's the unfortunate truth, and the only way to find out who's who is to test the boundary. This isn't about becoming cold or cruel. It's about becoming clear. When you establish a personal standard that says, I don't accept lies, I don't tolerate half-truths, I don't reward deception with comfort, people either adjust or exit. And you should be okay with both, because when you fear losing someone more than you value protecting your self-respect, you lose either way. I've had to walk away from people I loved deeply because they repeatedly violated truth. And each time I had a choice, make an excuse for them or make a statement about me. And every time I chose the latter, I gained something irreplaceable: peace, self-respect, clarity, and with time, better people showed up. People who valued honesty, who didn't flinch at truth, who didn't need to be chased or checked constantly because they knew what it meant to be trustworthy. Here's something else: when you tolerate small lies, you create space for bigger ones. A white lie here, a passive omission there, a misleading answer that you let slide because you didn't want to start a fight. Every time that happens, you are conditioning the other person to believe that they can bend your boundaries without breaking your connection. And over time, those bends become breaks. I've interviewed criminals, liars, and manipulators. You know what many of them had in common. They all started with small tests, a little dishonesty to see how others reacted. And when no one pushed back, they escalated. That same psychology applies to your personal life. When someone lies to you and your reaction is to protect them instead of standing up for yourself, they learn that you're not a threat to their comfort zone. That's the moment the balance of power shifts, and it doesn't shift in your favor. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to yell or shame people into truth. But you do need to be consistent, direct, and unshakable in your standards. When someone lies to you, and you call it out calmly but firmly, you send a message. This isn't about me catching you. It's about you respecting me. That clarity alone will start to filter out the people who don't belong in your life. Truth isn't just about what people say. It's about what you allow. And when you start treating your honesty like something sacred, something non-negotiable, others will either rise to meet it or reveal why they never deserved your trust in the first place. So don't ask yourself, why do people lie to me? Ask instead, what have I been teaching people about how I allow myself to be treated? Because once you change the lesson, you change the behavior. Most people get lied to not because they're weak or naive, but because they're looking in the wrong direction. They're so busy listening to what's being said that they completely miss how it's being said. They ignore the body, the timing, the tone, the nervous fidgets, the false confidence. Truth doesn't live in the words, it lives in the delivery, and if you're only focused on the content, you're missing the context. And the context is everything. We've been trained since childhood to believe that language is king, that if someone says the right words, we're supposed to believe them. We take statements at face value because that's how we're conditioned. To be polite, to be trusting, to assume good intent. But in reality, most communication is nonverbal. In fact, when people are being deceptive, their words become rehearsed while their body betrays them. If you can learn to shift your attention from what's said to how it's said, you start to see the cracks. When someone's lying, you'll often notice a delay before they answer. That pause isn't because they're thinking deeply. It's because they are constructing, creating a version of the story that protects them. If it takes too long to answer a simple question like "Where were you?" or "Did you say that?" that pause is a signal, not proof, but a signal that the truth isn't flowing, it's being filtered. Pay attention to how consistent someone is. When a person is telling the truth, their story is usually boring. It's natural, unpolished, sometimes messy. When someone's lying, their story often feels too clean, too smooth. They fill in every gap, over-explain, and give too many unnecessary details. That's not clarity, that's control. A liar wants to control what you hear so you don't look any deeper. They rely on your willingness to take the surface answer and move on. Then there's the voice. Your ears are more powerful than you think. Tone doesn't lie. When someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice goes flat or they sound like they're suppressing something, believe the tone, not the sentence. The mismatch between words and emotion is a red flag. If someone says they're not angry, but their body is stiff, their breathing is shallow, their jaw is clenched, they're angry. If they say, "I told you everything," but they won't look you in the eye or keep shifting positions, something is still unsaid. Watch the face too, not the smile they give you when they know you're looking. Watch the micro expressions, the brief flashes of emotion they can't control. These are expressions that come and go in less than half a second. A flicker of fear, a flash of guilt, a moment of contempt. You'll catch it when they don't know you're watching closely. That second where their guard drops just a little too early. It takes training to spot, but once you develop the eye for it, you start seeing what people try to hide. Liars also use distancing language. They depersonalize. Instead of saying, "I took the money," they'll say, "The money was taken." Instead of "I made a mistake," they'll say, "Mistakes were made." This passive structure is designed to minimize responsibility. It's a way of creating emotional distance from the action. Pay attention to how someone talks about themselves when things go wrong. Are they present in their story, or are they trying to vanish from it? Another sign, unnecessary defensiveness. When someone reacts aggressively to a simple question, it's often because the question hit a nerve. Defensive behavior, especially disproportionate to the question asked, is a defense mechanism, not a coincidence. A truthful person doesn't need to protect a lie, so their emotions stay more regulated, but a deceptive person has something to lose. Their emotional reaction often reveals more than their words do. Even body position tells a story. Someone who turns their body slightly away from you during conversation may subconsciously be withdrawing. Watch the hands. Do they fidget? Are they hidden? Deceptive people tend to hide their hands because we instinctively want to protect vulnerable areas when we're nervous. Hands, throat, chest. If someone suddenly crosses their arms or tucks their hands out of sight during a conversation about the truth, there's a reason for that shift. These aren't just tricks, they're behavioral patterns. Human beings are remarkably consistent when it comes to stress and fear. And lying, for most people, is stressful. It creates an internal conflict between what's true and what's being said, and that conflict leaks out. You just have to be calm enough to catch it. If you're too emotional, you'll miss it. If you're too reactive, they'll shut down and hide it better. But if you stay steady and quiet, observing instead of accusing, people will reveal themselves without even realizing it. Don't assume honesty just because someone looks you in the eye, either. Contrary to popular belief, liars can and do maintain eye contact, sometimes more than truthful people, because they're trying to convince you. It's the other behaviors that matter more, the unconscious ones. You can't fake calm breath, natural speech rhythm, genuine body openness. You can mimic eye contact, but you can't fake consistency across voice, expression, and movement for long. So stop putting all your trust in someone's words. Words are easy. They're the most practiced part of communication. What you need to do is read beyond the words, watch the face, listen to the tone, observe the timing. Catch the contradiction between what's said and what's shown, and trust your instincts, because your subconscious picks up on deception before your conscious mind even processes it. That uncomfortable gut feeling. That's your inner alarm system. Stop silencing it. The truth doesn't always speak the loudest. Sometimes it hides in the spaces between words, and once you learn to see those spaces, you'll stop being misled and start being in control. Most people think the way to get the truth out of someone is by being intimidating, by confronting hard, demanding answers, cornering them with facts, and applying pressure until they crack. That's what the movies teach you. That if you push hard enough, the truth comes out. But in real life, that approach often backfires. It shuts people down. It pushes them deeper into their lies. Because here's the reality. People tell the truth not when they're afraid, but when they feel safe. You can't scare the truth out of someone. You have to create the kind of environment where honesty doesn't feel like a threat. That doesn't mean you let things slide or accept dishonesty. It means you know how to hold power and control while still making it psychologically safe for the truth to come forward. The most powerful people I've ever seen, whether in interrogation rooms, in leadership roles, or even in personal relationships, weren't the loudest or most aggressive. They were the ones who knew how to remain calm, composed, and unshakable, even in discomfort. And that's what truth needs, emotional stability. Think about it. If someone believes that telling you the truth will result in explosive anger, rejection, shame, or humiliation, what are they more likely to do? Lie or omit? Or tell you what you want to hear? Not because they're trying to manipulate you, but because they're trying to survive you. They're trying to manage the emotional cost of being honest, especially if the truth is ugly or painful. People weigh risk before they speak. And if your reaction is unpredictable or overly emotional, you become a risky place for the truth to land. This isn't about being passive, it's about being strategic. It's about knowing that if you want someone to open up and tell you something raw, something that might cause you pain, you have to create a space where that pain doesn't get weaponized against them. That's a form of psychological leadership. You remain in control of yourself so the other person doesn't have to protect themselves from you. That's how you build truth, I saw this in my years as a polygraph examiner. People who were guilty, scared, ashamed, they'd come into the room armored, defensive, silent, resistant, but when I stopped trying to catch them and instead let them know I was just there to hear the truth, without judgment, without attack, that's when things shifted. When I asked questions from a place of curiosity instead of accusation, the armor started to drop. When I stayed calm and listened longer than I spoke, people started telling me things they hadn't told anyone else, because they felt they could, because the fear was gone. Now apply this to your life. When someone finally opens up to you, tells you something difficult, maybe even confesses something they know could hurt you, how you respond at that moment defines the entire future of that relationship. If you blow up, if you shame, if you attack, you might feel powerful in the moment, but you're closing the door to future honesty. You're teaching that person, the truth isn't safe here, I will punish you for it. And once they believe that, the lies will only multiply. It's not weakness to make people feel safe with the truth. It's strength, because staying emotionally grounded in moments that feel threatening or disappointing takes discipline. Anyone can react, anyone can explode. That doesn't take power. Power is in the pause. Power is in choosing your response instead of being ruled by your reaction. If you want honest people around you, you have to become someone who can receive honesty, even when it's hard to hear. Sometimes people withhold the truth because they don't want to hurt you. Other times, they don't want to deal with your reaction. You won't always know which one it is, but if your pattern is to make the truth feel dangerous, expect more silence and more lies. If you want the people around you to be honest, even brutally so, then you need to model that behavior too. That means you tell the truth yourself. That means you show people that honesty isn't just something you expect, it's something you live. You don't dodge hard conversations. You don't sugarcoat when it matters. You say the truth kindly but directly, and you accept it when it comes back to you the same way. Understand, psychological safety is not weakness. It's not softness. It doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior or lower your standards. It means you create a stable, emotionally intelligent space where truth is welcome, and lies have no room to hide. The stronger you are in yourself, the less you need to overreact to others. The more secure you are internally, the less you depend on controlling others to feel okay. And ironically, that's what makes people tell you more, not less. They don't feel like they have to manage your emotions. They don't feel like they have to tiptoe around you. They can just speak, and that's when truth comes out. So don't just demand truth, make space for it. Don't just say you can tell me anything, and then explode when they do. Show them, through your consistency, your calmness, and your strength, that you are someone who can handle reality without falling apart. Because the truth isn't always beautiful. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's painful, but it's always better than the damage a lie can do over time. People don't just need a reason to be honest. They need a place to do it, be that place, not by being passive, but by being powerful enough to stay steady in the storm. That's how you build a world around you where truth isn't something you chase, it's something you attract.